Hey wonderful people, I had an MRI brain scan today and I'm going to talk about what it was like. So first off, you are put in like a little waiting room and they give you a locker where you can put your stuff. I didn't really take much with me. I just put this shirt in it and I also put a piece of paper that I was carrying in it, and I gave them the consent form I had filled out, and you have to answer a lot of questions like, have you had this type of surgery? Have you had this type of surgery? Because they need to make sure you have no metal in your body, so it's not gonna like magnetize it. Obviously, thankfully I have not, so it was all fine. And it was really funny because I wasn't expecting them to put something over my face. Like, I don't know why I didn't expect that, but basically they make you lay down and there's this thing around your neck to keep your neck in place, and you've got to have your shoulders on it so that you are in the right place, and then they put this thing over my face, and it's like, it did have a little eye hole thing but you couldn't see much through it, and I think it was just like lines of kind of plastic that was covering my face, and it was like I was wearing a really weird face helmet, to be honest. But I think I'm quite lucky that it wasn't too uncomfortable, and I'm lucky that I'm not claustrophobic, so I really just kept my eyes closed for most of it, because I wasn't sure if you're supposed to keep your eyes closed or open. I have no idea if it makes a difference. It probably doesn't, but I just kept my eyes closed, and woohoo, bye. They put me in the machine and they walked out like I was the only one in the room, and it was kind of freaky actually, because I thought that it was a continuous whirring sound, because I had been told that it would make a whirring sound, but it was actually kind of making a weird beeping sound. I was like, this is a bit odd, and I could kind of hear it like around me in a way, moving directions, and when I would swallow like that, it would get louder for a second. And thankfully I did have both earplugs and headphones. Some people listen to music while they have it, but they asked me if I wanted to listen to music. I was like, I don't know, so I didn't listen to music because I'm so indecisive. But surprisingly, it was still really loud, even with both earplugs and headphones. So when I was in there, it's the ultimate tick suppression challenge, because you have to stay completely still. I was having to suppress my ticks. I didn't get sedation, because sedation can be dangerous for me because of other health issues, so I was just there like trying my best to not tick. And I felt like I couldn't breathe, because when I suppress my ticks, it feels like I can't breathe. It's like breathing to me. It's very natural. So if I try to suppress my ticks, it feels like holding my breath. But yeah, the noises it was making, it wasn't just a whirring. I swear it was beeping randomly, and the noises changed. It wasn't just one continuous noise. It was lots of different noises. Some were like banging, clanging sounds. Some were beeping. There was whirring, but the tone of the words changed, and it was just very strange, because I wasn't expecting that, and I don't like anything that's unexpected. I remember I was thinking, like, this better not randomly eject me out the front of it, because the beeping sounded like an eject or error noise. Thankfully it wasn't, it was normal, but I was there like, this better not eject me out the front of it, because that would end very badly, but thankfully it was fine. Woohoo! And I was surprised that I was allowed to keep my shoes on, because you're said to not be allowed to wear anything that's metal, but my shoes did have metal on them. However, I think it's because my shoes weren't really in the MRI machine, it was just my head, so I think that's why I was able to still wear my shoes there. And I was surprised, because I thought that you weren't allowed anything at all metal in the room, but my glasses, I didn't wear my glasses in the machine, but I was allowed them in the room on a shelf, and my keys for the locker outside as well. So I was kind of surprised that I was able to have those in the room, because I would be worried that they're just magnetized to the machine, but thankfully they didn't. It was fine. And the staff there were really lovely, but it was so funny as well, because they thought that I was a kid, because I walked in and one of the nurses was like, where's mum? And the other nurse was like, oh, she's 20. And then they were like, oh wow, I thought she was a child, you look so young. And it's really funny, because that happens pretty much every time I go to a doctor's appointment or like a nurse appointment or something. They always think I'm a child until I explain I'm actually 20 years old, which is very funny to me. But I think the MRI went well. I was thankfully not like really stressed about it. I was a little bit like confused and a little bit, I guess, surprised when it started making random noises, but I was like, I'm going to assume that it's normal. I'm going to hope it's normal. Some people say that they actually speak to you through the headphones when you're in the machine, but they didn't do that. They just left the room and left me there, but they do give you like a little call thing that you can squeeze or push and they'll come back in, but thankfully I didn't have to use that because it is fine, and I was just like, I'm going to assume all these noises are completely normal. It's weird though, because I was motion sick before I went in, and I swear it made me more motion sick even though I wasn't actually moving, but for some reason I did also read that an MRI machine can make you feel dizzy, so I actually think it made my motion sickness worse because I went in it while I was already feeling motion sick. I think it made that worse, but thankfully it did go well, and I wasn't like stressed out or anything, and they were able to get clear images because I can suppress my tics, but it's really hard and I felt like I couldn't breathe. But I was just telling myself, oh, it'll be over soon, and then I can tic, and it, like once I did go out, my tics did come back quite badly, because that's what happens when I suppress. They suddenly come out very severely. All the stuff that I held in and suppressed, it does come out. So I went out into the waiting room to see my dad again, and I was just like going wee and making this really weird noise, like wee. I was making a really weird long noise as I came out, and then I was ticking loads because everything I held in was just coming out. But yeah, it went well, I think. Obviously, I don't know the results yet because it was today that I had the scan, and I think it takes about 2 weeks to get the results. I have no idea if it will be normal or abnormal, but I thought I'd just share my experience getting an MRI, and I'm just so glad that I wasn't ticking a lot and that they were able to get the clear images with the suppression. It really is the ultimate suppression challenge. Thankfully, it wasn't that uncomfortable in the MRI machine because they kind of put this cushion under my legs to like allow me to be comfortable, and some people I know do have to put like a hospital gown on. There's another woman in the waiting room who was told to put a gown on, but thankfully they didn't really see a problem with the clothes I was wearing. I was just wearing this t-shirt, and I was wearing some trousers different to the trousers I was wearing now. What trousers was I wearing? Oh yeah, I was just wearing some trousers that had elasticated waist, no metal or anything, so they were completely fine with that, and I wasn't wearing my hat, which was actually sad because obviously I love wearing my hat, but you can't wear a hat in an MRI machine, especially not this one because there is a metal bit here, so obviously I had to take the hat off.